I don't usually agree with Democrats, but I can say this about Bill Maher. I totally agree with his comments.
And it's not racist to say, if you want to come here to help form a more perfect union, great. But some things are too fundamental to change. Most immigrants still want to assimilate, but some now have this other attitude of melting pot. You melt. Look, you don't have to love everything about America. We don't. That's why Yelp was invented. But, you know, if you do get past ICE, America's actually pretty cool. We say you do you. Eat the food your grandma cooked. Speak another language at home. Celebrate religious holidays. We welcome your food, your art, your fashion, your first ladies. But you have to answer one question. Do you like Western civilization? Because that's what we are, and that's not negotiable. Let me ask our audience. Do you think gay rights is one of our values that's non-negotiable? Great, I'm going to hold you to it. A few weeks ago, a liberal Democrat named Melissa Chaudhry, running for Congress in Seattle, was asked why, among the many progressive causes listed on her website, LGBT rights was conspicuously absent. Because, she said, a lot of Muslims do not feel that way, unfortunately.
Yes, for a very long time, I've been watching this man, and at some point, I usually don't agree with him on a lot of issues. And recently, B has been calling out Democrat over and over. And some conservatives are now siding with him. They believe B was extremely right on this video. I don't know where you stand when it concerns certain issues like this. I understand perfectly well that if you are going into any country, it means you like that country. You are able to abide to the laws of that country. Yeah, someone like me, I've been into different countries. I've been into the Middle East. I've stayed there for about 6 years, and I saw a lot of things. Now, coming back to what B is saying here, he make a lot of sense on this.
I don't usually agree with Democrats, but I can say this about Bill Maher. I totally agree with his comments about if you come to this country, you must assimilate to American values. I believe, besides popular opinion, that we make it very comfortable for immigrants here. More comfortable than we do for actual natural-born citizens in America. We do. So things like we expect for you to start to learn the language and be able to speak it, I don't think that that's a hard ask. I do not. I can't go over to China and expect for everybody to speak English. I can't. They're going to tell me to speak Mandarin. Or guess what? We're just not going to communicate. I won't do business. We can't associate. That's common sense. I am not going to go and push a religious agenda that literally makes women less than, because just because it was acceptable over there and now I become an American, I can't expect that. So why is it so terrible to say, if you become an American and live in this country, you now need to assimilate to American values? Guys, this all is not that hard. This is not rocket science, okay? We just became a society that was so gung-ho on making everybody feel comfortable that we forgot who we were, what we stand for. So, Bill, I will clap for you on that. You did your big one with that one. What a concept.
There are people who have that privilege to run for office. I don't want to go into religious bias like that, but because they believe in different religions, they want to implement that to everybody, which to me is not okay. If you want to run for office, it means you have seen that, okay, this is your own values. You can be able to coexist with people believing differently. Yeah. But what I'm seeing here, someone says, oh, I will not do this because my religion doesn't permit this. At some point, you start reasoning like what B is struggling to push out here.
A Michigan immigrant recently opened his mailbox and learned the federal government was fining him $579,838. He's one of more than 100,000 people who's gotten one of these new fines under the Trump administration. The civil penalties are being issued against people who have deportation orders but remained in the United States. They've been legal since 1996, but they were rarely used until President Donald Trump took office again. Under the law, the federal government can charge someone $998 for every day they stayed in the country after an immigration judge ordered them removed. They max out at $1.8 million, or 5 years. The Trump administration is using these fines to pressure people into self-deporting. The federal government says if someone leaves on their own, the fines will be erased, and they'll be offered a free flight and a $2,600 exit bonus. But it puts many immigrants in an impossible situation. For some, they've lived in the United States for years, but the federal government couldn't deport them because they might have been stateless, or their home country wouldn't accept.
Yeah. Taking a look at what be said here, if you look at what is happening in the Middle East, you will clearly understand that these things are not allowed. As a gay person, it is extremely difficult. You can't even coexist there. Maybe you would do that in hiding, but it was difficult for you to do that because of the laws that they have. Now, in the United States, like what we're saying here, there are people who live some of these countries and maybe gain citizenship. They want to bring in these laws, which someone like B doesn't see to be okay. If you look into the Democrat Party, this is what they have been accommodating now for some time, and it triggers him to a level I've not seen in a long time. If you watch his interview with the vice president, he made it clear if Democrats continue to follow this path, he will not be part with them. He might choose a different path. I saw that clip. I was like, what B is saying here is something I didn't see coming. Yeah, because he's a strong Democrat.
But I think I could fly on 4 space shuttle missions to the
Let me just start by saying that we have raised a record amount of money for any chair that didn't have the White House or the presidency. But the decision we made very early on was a direct...
Over $4,000 a month. Genuinely, that is insane. Mega Republican policies like all the top everyday New Yorkers can no longer afford to live in the state that we all love.
That is insane, right? Please keep the video. As of the short clips you see at the end, that's for a white girl. You can always keep. They don't recommend videos again on this.
Question: if you're here tonight,
whatever it is
bring it
zero
up
to do with
because
me.
it sounds.
explain what happens when people know.
They were
releasing how much
40 years old that the sun and the moon were not the same thing.
Us wants to know the strangest part of going.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
wow.
Dust Blossom turned into this fabulous actress.
Sunny from The View. I am so sick of you and Whoopi.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
We will be okay if you.
Diversity for diversity's sake being crammed down our throats.
The Hunger Games.
Loves to work. It's, you know, I had a group of guys, you know.
is cool.
And of that UFC fight, because
Do this again. All eyes on California. You can see exactly what's happening. They're
was on here in the Golden State.
In 39 days, we will know.
You know, you get crazy every single time. People keep asking me, please, what is your real name? I'm called Ransom. That is my name.